This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Well, maybe I need to recant. This is Wretched Radio. I do believe it was yesterday I went on a bit of a diatribe against much, not all, much of contemporary Christian music. And I might have to take it all back because somebody sent in a Christian worship song. Quite honestly, this compared to so much of today's contemporary Christian music, which is basically the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, the lowest form of poetry, that's what much of contemporary Christian music is. This one, though, I got to tell you, comparatively, pretty profound.
I love you, you love
First John right there.
I have the off button and will use it.
With a great big hug and a kiss from me too.
Song of Solomon, somehow.
Won't you say you love me too?
I love. So that, I guess, would be a pretty good contemporary Christian worship song by comparison. Now, I bring that up because I received a thoughtful, nice, not snarky letter from somebody who's a worship leader to say, hold on, you've been kind of really thumping on contemporary Christian music. Got a few questions for you. Because he's feeling kind of discouraged because he's a contemporary Christian worship leader. He writes, therefore I, a skinny jean-wearing, long-haired, jump up and down contemporary worship leader would like to ask you something. I'm not asking out of malice or bitterness, but out of a genuine interest in your thoughts. Oh, okay. Dude, first of all, I appreciate that very much. And let me just say this. I'm sorry if I made every worship leader out there feel rotten. That really was not my intention.
I don't know if I feel rotten, but, thank you. This was directed at contemporary Christian music. Now, there are some Christian worship leaders that we could critique the genre, because I think that there's some, let's be honest, we've seen some of these, not all, some of these mega churches where these guys are up there, and they're like, they're trying to be REO Speedwagon or something. Yeah, that reference was a little dated. Flavor Flav.
But they're trying to be like
Hype Man.
Flavor Flav.
Yeah, he was the hype man.
The what?
Flavor Flav? He was, I'm trying to remember which group.
You get that at the grocery store, don't you? No, that's a different type. What's a different type of Slurpee at
Flavor
QT?
Right?
Flavor Flav, if I'm not mistaken.
Public Enemy. He was the hype man.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about. And if he's an enemy, then we need to get the police on him and take care of it, because we don't need any more enemies running around the streets, if you ask me. The point is, I wasn't going after that. I was talking about the ridiculously low level of writing in contemporary Christian music and the emotions-driven effort to get people whipped into a frenzy. They've got to do something because your mind certainly isn't engaged. So this fellow says, okay, got some questions for you. Do you think people like me should stop leading worship? Well, I think you should stop wearing skinny jeans. That I would say. But I think that's really a policy for all Christian men for all time everywhere. That's biblical. You just go look that up. Do I think you should stop leading worship? No. But I think, though, that you and every individual needs to figure this out. Leading worship is a tricky deal. Leading what? If you're just helping to lead the song. Here's my question for you, worship leader. And you have to answer this, because I'm not saying how everybody would answer. Ask yourself this question. If I no longer could be up there with the light on me, with people seeing me, would I be willing to do this every week? Would I be willing to do it from the back where nobody sees me? Now, in my opinion, we should be able to have worship leaders up in the balcony, if we still make those anymore, or in the back of the church. Why? Because we have to be so careful that the spotlight and the intention is not on a man. Now, some people, I've made this comment before, and some people have said, well, that's just you. That's just you. But I'm sorry. Whoever the worship leader is, this is me. I can't help but notice, okay, what, in my mind, I'm going, how are they behaving up there? And I can't help but notice what they're wearing. And I can't help but notice how much, how they worship differently up there than they do when they're down here. So it can be distracting is the point. Now, does that make it wrong? No, but it could. Ask yourself the question, would I be willing to go back there and do it? Because overall, we shouldn't need to see the fellow or fellowette. We shouldn't need to see that. They should be like the organist. In the old days, they could be up there. You know, there was basically a hymnal and the organ in the old days. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that the organist wouldn't do a little whatever it's called, a little riff, a little thing in between, and then you'd come back and there would be an obvious place where the verse would start again. Same thing could be true with contemporary. We don't need to see you. So would you be content to be somewhere else and not in the spotlight? That's a heart check for a worship leader. I can't answer that. You can. Do I think everybody should stop leading worship? Nope. Didn't say that. I just think that it should be thought through perhaps a little bit more stringently than it historically has been for contemporary evangelicalism. He asks, should we stop singing contemporary praise songs, hang up our guitars, put away our computers, and revert our churches to hymnals and organs? That would be my preference, but I could not say that you must do that. It's a preference. I've got a preference. I like the big old pipe organ. Love that. Love it. I love having 4 parts so I can kind of croak along to the bass line. I like that. Would I say that that has to be mandated? No, I wouldn't say that at all. I find let me take that back. I find many contemporary Christian songs to be good. Certainly not the majority. They're the very small minority, but there's a lot of good ones. There's good stuff out there. It's a preference issue, but I wouldn't call it a sin issue, and I don't think any of us should do that. And I would say overall, we can all adjust one way or the other. We should all be able to put up with one another, right? And there should be a willingness. There should be a willingness. It's interesting how it seems to me that in the contemporary church, we automatically give way to the younger generation. No, I get that argument. I understand. We should be more mature, should be willing to sacrifice, but there should be an attitude that goes both ways. So if somebody is really insistent on it's got to be drums, it's got to be guitars, you've got the wrong attitude too. Just like I would have the wrong attitude if I said it's got to be the organ, it's got to be him. I'd have the wrong attitude. We should approach it loving one another. I do not think drums and guitars are innately sinful. Sorry, I don't. I know some people do. I don't. So I don't think that that should be the case. That's my preference, but I certainly would not make a law where there is no law. Next question. There are thousands of people like me who are working and serving in churches all over the world who play music in a style that you call repetitious, dumb, and shallow because you have different stylistic preferences. No, I do have different stylistic preferences, but that's separate from my critique of what is repetitious, dumb, and shallow. Repetitious, dumb, and shallow can be on organs also. I mean, if the organ were dun, 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 dun. I'm playing the organ, one note. You'd go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We can do better than that, can't we? I mean, really, can you? And that's what I'm saying. We can do better than that. We can do better than Barney music, can't we? That's my critique. Which are not based in Scripture, but rather your own experiences. As such, do you not seem to notice that the richly theological songs being written today that glorify God, as well as edify and encourage the church body? I sure do. And we like to play them when we find them. We love them. I love to listen to them. We've played many of them in the past. And when they come up, love to share them. I just am talking about contemporary Christian music. So when I make a blanket statement, please see it as such. I'm not trying to state everybody today who's doing contemporary Christian music is sinful. I'm not saying that. Just saying a lot of it is dreckish. Do you want us to stop? I would like for people to stop that. I would like for people to stop that. And then he concludes, if not, what advice would you give to young worship leaders such as myself? Well, I mentioned the thing about the skinny jeans. How would you encourage us in our ministries that we might better serve our churches? Here's my encouragement to you, young worship leader. Worship is always going to be a struggle in the church. Our preferences for it, they always bubble up. And that can blur our biblical convictions. So know that you're going to run into trouble all the time. Here's my encouragement to you. Bring your people up. What is being played right now on contemporary Christian radio Overall, not all of it. I know they toss in a Chris Tomlin song on occasion. I know there's a good Casting Crowns thrown in there. Got it. Overall, it is banal. Bring your people up. Go work really, really hard to find great stuff. Every time we have this conversation, people send, hey, check this guy out. Look what he did. Check this one out. Do that. Go find them. And bring it in. Write your own. With your pastor supervising. Bring your people up. It's sort of like youth pastors. You have an opportunity, youth pastor. You can wear skinny jeans and go down to the kids to be cool, or you can dress like a man and bring them up. I think the direction of the Bible is bring them up. Maturity, growth, dignity, becoming more mature, not less so. So my encouragement to you is, first of all, I think you're probably mature in just the tone that you wrote this letter, so I appreciate that a bunch. My encouragement to you is use the gifts, use the skills that God has given to you to bring people up. Watch your heart. Watch being in the spotlight. You know those issues. Those are tricky ones. You got to figure those things out. But if you really want to minister to people, minister with songs like the ones that yesterday that we shared, that classic old hymn that has so much theology in it, not just one verse repeated over and over and over again. Bring them up. There's another thing that you can be doing in worship. It can also be didactic. It can be teaching. You can be teaching people theology. People remember songs. And when they are hurting, case in point, I know somebody, myself, on my deathbed. I know what I want going on. Please play rich music for me, theologically. And I don't care if it's organ. I don't care if it's hymns. I don't care if it's contemporary. I don't care if it's the Gettys. I just want to hear that great stuff so that when I'm going into the valley of the shadow of death, I would like to be comforted by the word. You could prepare your people for death with your worship. So my encouragement to you is bring us up. Bring it up. Do better than contemporary Christian radio. Contemporary Christian radio barely, in my estimation, gets a passing grade, might even get an F. It's that bad. Now, maybe your station is better. Overall, they're that bad. Not all of them. Overall. Do better. Do better. In fact, that's my encouragement to everybody who is young, who's got skills. There's a propensity when you're young. I know because I remember reading about this in my diary, otherwise I would have forgotten by now. There's a propensity to want to be edgy, to want to be contemporary, to want to be cool, to want to push the envelope. I get that. And I think that can be okay if it's bridled. Don't push it for the sake of this is what we've got to do, because first of all, you want to make sure it's biblical. Second of all, you're going to be leaving a generation or two behind, and that isn't all that loving. Third, you'll find yourself probably going in the wrong direction, either theologically or in your tone or in your attitude. You'll probably go in a snarky direction. Build up, bring along, elevate, be smart, stretch yourself. Don't just, the skills that God has given you to do your worship or play your guitar or produce your music or whatever it is that your contribution is to the body. You've got that because God gave it to you. Now stretch it in another direction where you can engage your brain to bring in theology, to teach. Yeah, correct. Be wise about that. But use those chops that God has given you, because you know what? When you're up there, I'm telling you, people that you're looking out in that congregation, hurting, broken, busted, needy, minister to them. And the best way that you can do that is not by being cool. It's not your hair. It's not your ear piercings. It is the Word of God applied to whatever your genre or craft is. That is my encouragement to you. And I know you could do it, and it sure would be a treat. And it would just bless our little old socks off. Hour 1 of Wretched Radio.